You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
I did it wrong. How do you... suddenly, I've never moved my hand before.
I just spin it.
I was like...
Just doing something. Congratulations, Stephanie.
300
episodes
Whoa,
of the podcast. Huge commitment. 6
Yes,
years. It's
we did
amazing.
it.
We did it. Right off the bat, obviously some things are different.
Something different
for this episode. And I'm nervous as hell.
Yeah.
And feel very uncomfortable and awkward. And I want to make sure right off the bat too that it's clear our intention here. Obviously it's going to be outlined as we continue and we keep talking and stuff like that. But the intention isn't to, what are you doing?
I'm experimenting.
Okay. Perfect time to do that on the podcast. Go ahead, babe. The intention isn't to, we're not mocking anything and we aren't.
I think you're mocking me.
We might tease each other a little bit.
Oh, fuck, that's hot.
But we're not, this isn't some sort of, like I'm really nervous that this is going to be interpreted as somehow us
making fun,
making
being
fun of
disrespectful,
and being disrespectful
just
of
like
the transgendered community or just
non-binary,
gender
any just
in and of itself.
Person.
Yeah, and that's not at all what we are doing. And if we do come off that way, or if it is insulting, I mean, we apologize.
We do, and
in advance.
But like, if that's the case, then we won't just leave it at an apology in advance. It'll be like, okay, we got some research to do.
Correct.
Our intention here is, I guess, I think there's so many ways. Like, it's bringing balance, bringing awareness, taking the stigma out of things. It doesn't matter, like so much. We are coming at this with love and looking for a deeper understanding, looking to share information, looking to like spark curiosity.
Also,
like,
if you're only listening, sorry.
Oh yeah.
If you're only listening, the 300th episode is a big deal for us for a bunch of different reasons. And we thought a fun thing to do. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were in the midst of explaining things.
No,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's all right.
We wanted to do something fun and different and just different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting on opposite sides than we normally sit on, first and foremost. And that's a little different for both of us.
It is a little different.
I'm like nervous that things aren't working properly with
I'm getting sounds on sides that I shouldn't get. I can't tell you too. Like if things aren't working, I'm not going to know.
It's recording, right? You see the red dot up there?
Is that the only thing I have to look for is the red dot?
Yeah.
Fuck,
and then you got to kind of monitor time, right?
Okay.
But granted, we have all the time in the world for this big episode.
Well, we started about 2 minutes ago, so I'll know about 8 minutes.
And we're also...
Also, I didn't get the like rundown first. Flying by the seat of my pants.
The intention is to embody masculine and feminine energy inside of ourselves. And the idea being that everybody has energy. Everybody has, I mean, it's just really simple to name masculine and feminine. And we've talked about this a lot in the past few months and how massively oversimplifying that is. And it's not an identification of a gender. It's more about identifying it as just simply an energy. And there are different energies in the universe.
Also, like, we're not minimizing or dismissing identifying as a gender. Like, I'm not sure if that came across as, like,
Absolutely.
That's not what we're saying. Like, no, absolute, like, valid.
Correct.
Valid. We support, we see, we honor, we love, we support, and we will stand with.
Yes.
All.
So for both of us, we have had a lifetime of struggle and suffering and confusion and trauma and all sorts of different things. And we talk about that on the podcast all the time. And one dynamic of that is you and I both have had really fucked up experiences with the other gender than what we identify as.
Yeah.
And
don't like that energy on me right now.
I think that has definitely affected how we have moved through the world, and also how we have embodied those type of energies within ourselves. And so much of the work that we've been doing this year is not just balancing and bringing kind of harmony and peace back to ourselves and our relationship, but for me, it's been a lot of struggling with trying to understand the feminine inside of myself and figuring out what that looks like and how that feels. And right now if you're just listening, I'm wearing one of Steph's summer dresses. It's a dress that I got for her. It's one of my favorite dresses that she has. It was just the first thing that I saw in her closet that I'm like, oh, that's it. And I got nervous trying to put it on because it's definitely too small for me. And I'm worried that I'm going to ruin it, but I figured it's okay.
It's totally okay.
And I've got a little bit of mascara on, and I got my hair up. My hair up is kind of funny because my hair up's all the time in different ways, but this specifically feels very feminine to me. And throughout this episode, we're going to be referring to masculine and feminine a lot. And that doesn't negate that there is a multitude of ways to express yourself and express energy inside of yourself and throughout your life and everything like that. Everybody's a unique individual.
Yeah, we are saying masculine, feminine. We are not implying, and that this will be the only time that it's like even referenced unless we're like speaking to it directly. We are not saying male, female. Absolutely Correct. Not. That is not the message. That is not what we're saying. That is not the vocabulary we are using.
Yeah, and I sure hope that it comes across throughout the episode. So if initially you're a little bit triggered and upset or frustrated or feel like we are coming at this from an unhealthy place or a wrong place, please hang in there with us, and
stay
hopefully
with us. Sit with us.
By the end of the episode, you'll see where we're really coming from.
And if not, again,
we're doing our best.
Yeah, we're in this together. Our goal here is unity. I feel.
I agree. And so I'm in a dress. Steph is in. Tell me about that shirt. Why'd you pick that shirt?
It was so hard for me to try and like figure out how I was embodying my masculine. And we've talked about just like the different levels of it before on previous episodes, so I won't go into it. But as I was looking at things, it was going between just stereotypical male. I'm like, shirt and tie, I'm not going to do that. That's not. And then I was looking at just like my regular stuff. I had a shirt laid out that I wear all the time. I'm like, that's not, like, that's just a regular shirt. Or maybe I'll do my hair like this. The only way I did it different is just pulled it back and left it in a low ponytail instead of. It was so hard. It was so hard finding stuff that wasn't either going over the top and just picking up masculine stereotypes, which was not what I wanted to do. That was not the point of just to sit here and like stereotype it up and like poke fun in a sense. Like that wasn't
exactly.
So trying to find, but then also how would it be? Would you even notice a difference if it's like the way that I have my hair quite frequently, or, the clothes that then it doesn't even know. So I was trying to figure out how to like up it so I stood out, embody in an authentic way. It was really hard.
Yeah.
So I went with this shirt. I was also like, I don't know, like I'm super nervous and I don't even know if I like this shirt on you, and I like being in your clothes. It's not so masculine, but maybe it is, right? Maybe you like mine.
I'm liking this dress.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's yours, right? That makes
works.
me feel more comfortable in it for sure.
See, there.
Yeah.
I'm really nervous right now, so I'm just going to I'm stumbling my way through it because that's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was something, I was going for a different shirt, and then I saw this one and was like, oh, that's the one. Which I don't know why, because I don't know what. I feel like, oh my gosh, there's going to be too much history in this. There's stuff that I don't want to embody in this. I know it. And I'm like, am I just freaking out? No, it's fine. I love this. And then I started looking for more feminine clothes in your closet that I could pull off and I'm like, stop. So then I grabbed I was trying to figure out what pants I was going to wear. because it didn't I don't feel like it brought out the masculine.
You should have put on some of my tack pants.
I did.
Oh, did you?
I put them on and I was like, I cannot handle this energy. Yeah. I cannot. So those went off with me going nope, putting them back in your closet.
I have a couple of pairs of tactical pants that I used to wear when I was a cop, and I still have them because they're...
Your black ones are the ones I put on.
Yeah, it's not just when I was a police officer. You'd wear them for training and for different activities and stuff, but they're also just kind of cargo-y, active, tactical pants.
Yeah. I couldn't handle the energy. I couldn't handle it.
They're very masculine.
They are... Well, it was... I don't know if it was so much as they were very, very masculine as it was all of the energy with it. All of it. I just was this so... And then
a little bit to it, huh?
A little bit. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to wear a pair of your Levi's. And finally, I'm like, I'm just going to put on my own Levi's.
Right.
So I did that because I'm not trying to, again, it's I'm trying to embody my energy in this. But anyways, it was kind of back and forth. I tried tucking it in because the shirt, the shirt in. And I don't know how.
You don't have anything to tuck.
I don't have. Well, I was thinking about binding my breast.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm not, again, just trying to honor the natural flow of where it's at and making it okay without being over the top.
Yeah, one of the things that I was really scared of. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'll continue.
I didn't want it to seem like at Halloween time when people dress up like the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And
this is not that. Exactly.
Whatever your stance is on that, right, wrong, indifferent, offended, just in regards to that kind of behavior at Halloween, that was not what this intention was. That was not what I had this idea. This came to me. We were trying to think of what to do for the episode and what to do for the episode, the big episode for 300. And, at one point we were joking about dressing up like the characters from the movie 300, right? I resonate so much with Leonidas and how fun it would be to dress up like Leonidas and then you, the queen. And
it's funny that one I was like, no, but this one I was like, yes.
And then when I thought of this, I thought about how... because it's really it's in alignment with where all the work that we've done this year and how the focus has been this balance inside, right? And it's not just a balance of two energies, I feel like, inside of myself. It's a balance of multitude of things that I'm trying to...
Balance of energy?
Yeah. And it's really about feeling calibrated and in harmony with myself. And a few episodes back, we talked about... I was listening to Brandy Carlisle on Glennon Doyle's podcast. You getting nervous? Does it look okay over there?
It does.
Steph's checking the audio equipment.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be distracting. I'm just I was watching how your mic was moving, and
right.
I was like, why is mine moving? What sound am I making? Am I not?
You know what's really funny? Huh. I think this mic is hotter than that mic, because I've had to adjust your audio slowly over the course of the last several episodes.
Okay.
And I would adjust it in post-production. And then I realized, I'll just start making some minor adjustments to our equipment, save myself some time.
So just that I'm starting to talk too loud?
No, I don't think so. I think it's literally just the audio equipment itself. So that was really funny. So I thought to myself that it was because of the difference in our voices.
Yeah.
And so I adjusted this one to where that mic is. Uh-huh. So then this mic would mirror when I sit over there, and then vice versa. And as soon as I sat down, this mic was too loud. It was too hot.
Really?
Yeah. So that's a side note there for audio. But I had this idea, and I thought about, I was talking about Brandy on Glennon's podcast. And Brandy was talking about, because she'll have different looks to her over time, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of what she was expressing and talking about was it's just the calibration of how she feels in the day. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes it's a very simple thing of the way that she'll move or flip her hair or, the clothes that she's wearing or something like that. And then it's just feeling in alignment with how she feels inside. Mm-hmm. And that really resonated with me. And I thought about how I have days where I feel more feminine. Yeah. And I feel more, I don't even know how to explain it. It just is more feminine to me, right? It's not going to look like that to somebody on the outside, but it's how it feels on the inside for me. I just feel more feminine some days. And I'll kind of shift and move around throughout the day that way. And I've had to really come to peace with that, because I would recognize it and immediately stop. Like I'd have the recognition that I was doing something that I thought in my own head was too feminine. So I would change it and I would adjust it back to, I can't behave that way, or I can't do that. And so this year has really been about me trying to just allow whatever that is those days to exist and to be okay in it. And it feels so much better.
Yeah.
When I do that. And I also have days when I feel very masculine.
Yeah.
And so that for me has been kind of the journey over the course of this year, is just recognizing what I'm feeling and literally just allowing it to exist outside of my body, for it to be suddenly calibrated so that the inside looks like the outside and I'm just in that flow. And so this is it's not necessarily an over exaggeration, but this is kind of a real clear way to visually display that to the world that's listening as well as watching. And some days I feel this feminine. It doesn't mean that I feel like I need to wear a dress or anything. I don't have a problem with it. If we were suddenly to go out into public like this, it would be challenging for me, but I also wouldn't be like ashamed or afraid or embarrassed or anything like that to go out into public like this. It's not saying that I feel the need to. I don't feel like it's necessarily an expression of mine that I need to express, but this is just this is like an embodiment for me of feminine energy inside of myself. And so this is kind of the external example of that, of how I feel some days internally. So that was the intention and my thought behind this episode, is we could have some fun in some ways. This is very, very outside of our comfort zone. It's a big deal in a sense for the podcast being the episode of, the 300th episode. So that was kind of my intention and my thought behind it. And yeah, what does it explaining? I don't know if I fully fleshed that out before in the process of kind of explaining this to you, but
no.
How does that kind of feel now? And can you relate in some ways?
I don't know, like circling back to where I was, like trying to describe like just the process alone. Like I know that I'm sitting here. I guess I'm not circling back. I will circle back because it's a part of it. It's funny. It's like I recognize this masculine type energy, but I haven't brought it with balance. I haven't allowed it to be like the way that I have been exposed to the essence. My interpretation of masculine energy and what I'd been exposed to was was challenging. And so like as I'm like putting the outside in a sense and kind of like just starting to embody, it happened, maybe I should backtrack. When I was trying to like look like I just feel like I looked more masculine as opposed to just like putting on your clothes, was when because I realized that I don't ever wear hats because I feel like I look like a boy in them. I feel masculine, or not even masculine. I just feel like I look, and I want to look like a girl. I identify as a woman. I am a cis woman. So I went for thank you, Chris Fletcher, for the hat. I put that on, and as soon as I put that on in the mirror with my hair back and this, and I put it on, and it's like I disappeared. I was like, I look like a man. I look like a man, and it was like throwing me. It was really hard, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then are you gonna love me? And it just like, I'm not a hat person, and this hat is driving me nuts. So I'm not like trying to tip my hat and be like, I gotta get it off my head.
Would you like another fidget spinner?
To
toy?
Quit, maybe.
To quit. You want the cards?
No, you go ahead with the cards. I noticed you don't need them. It's funny.
It's okay. You can play with them.
Okay. It matches my shirt
there you
and
go.
my hat. So and I just like had that like awareness when I was telling you, it was like, I don't want to look like a boy. I'm a girl. And that hit me in such a way, because like, oh my gosh, like just that awareness of how me simply just changing my clothes and this and what, how that like disrupted my system and how I felt off, how I felt. And again, as like, I'm not saying that masculine energy is wrong. I definitely have a different body for it. And I feel like I will get into, but what I'm saying is like, that gave me just the tiniest of tiniest of a fragment of an understanding. And it's so hard to even say an understanding because like there's no understanding. I don't have that understanding, but just like the tiniest fragment of maybe I'm starting to gain a glimpse of what it would feel like to look in the mirror every day and be like, I'm in the wrong body. I'm in the wrong body. I'm not a boy. I'm a girl. I'm not a girl. I'm a boy. Just like, and like my heart just was like, boom, boom. And I want to give so much love. Like, and it's how, it's like, I don't want to say brave because it's bullshit that it has to be brave. It's bullshit that I'm sitting here going to say like how brave you have to be to fight the world, to be yourself. And I'm like, that is so messed up.
Yeah, the world is so messed up.
You should not have to be brave to be yourself. I mean, I'm not taking away the courage. I'm not minimizing the courage. I'm saying that the world should not be as such that it takes courage to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like love, support, understanding, encouragement, just being who you are. You get to just be who you are. So it just that was the first like, oh my gosh, this is going to be very interesting because that awareness of we all deserve and have the right to be who we are and to be in the body that reflects who we are and who like we choose and the energies that we embody. And I don't know all the right words, but I'm trying so hard. It's like my heart is trying to explain this in all the ways. And that's not even like, I'm not overlooking if you are non-binary or maybe it's you're gender fluid. Like I'm including all of that. Just like if you want to wear, like you're feeling your femininity and that's how you're presenting, that's what you are identifying with, that's how you want to show up to being authentic to yourself. Why not? Why can't it just be? If I like this, like I feel stronger right now.
Do you?
Like I don't feel but I'm like, I feel tough. You know, I know that that's not the thing, but when I embody my masculine, it is when I'm like, I'm taking care of things. I'm taking care of everything around me. I'm taking care of everyone around me. I am protecting myself. I am protecting others. I am safe. Everyone's around me is safe. I feel like capable. I feel capable. Like I have this energy where I can just move into things. And it has been a trauma response, an unhealthy thing that I've had to like, you know, really just like protect. And I have not been protected. And then I've taken it to a controlling level of, oh, now I'm just going to take over everything to make myself safe. And I'm like seeing the balance of it of like how, like, I don't feel toxic. I don't feel like I'm trying to control everything, but I feel strong. I feel confident. Like that's pretty great energy.
Yeah.
I should be able to, everybody should be able to embody whatever they want.
Right.
And then like, it's our anniversary. I'm going to take off this masculinity.
Did we mention that?
We did not.
Yeah, we're recording this. So we chose to record this on our anniversary as well. So it's not totally in alignment with the flow. Like I think yesterday we released episode 296 or something, but
yeah, this needed to be recorded today.
Yeah. The significance for us recording this today is a big deal as well because of our anniversary and because of the like, yeah, that's a big deal too. We'll talk more about that later, but
all of that.
Yeah.
But like I'm going to flow back into my feminine You know, so it's just, I don't, like, I think, you know, I know this is a focus of energies, but the fluidity of gender is, I think it's so beautiful, and I think it's empowering, and it should be like empowered as opposed to shunned in all the ways that it is. Like, it is empowering how, like, you get to be you everything. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm my ramblings are not coming out as the way I want them to. I hope my heart is being heard, and okay, you say something.
Getting ready this morning. Will you do our coffee there?
Yeah. I hope it works.
Getting ready this morning. As soon as I was delaying it as long as I could because I was so nervous and so scared, and was trying to find other things to, I have a to-do list I have to get done before we do this, because
it's kind of weak.
The coffee stuff.
Yes. Oh, I double poured. I tried to, no, you're amazing. I double poured. We have a French press, and I wanted to have more coffee, and so we used that. And so instead of like grinding and trying to rinse it out, which we can't because we only have one, so I just popped the thing back up and poured more water in with the same grounds, because, like, you know, and then I'm just realizing how the coffee isn't very strong, which, you know, obviously. So I was just referring to how I feel like I messed up the coffee.
You're cute.
And I said it at the worst moment.
You're cute.
Please continue, you strong person that I cherish.
But as soon as I don't even know what, I think it probably was after putting the dress on and looking at myself in the mirror, it was like, I immediately felt different.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is, like, you talk about feeling stronger and all that stuff that you just expressed about that kind of masculine energy inside of yourself. I forgot I have mascara on.
You do. You don't want to smear.
Right?
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Oh my goodness.
It burns when it gets in your eyes too. You look beautiful.
When I feel more feminine, I feel like the thing that stands out to me is I feel like I want to dance.
Yeah.
I feel more creative. I feel more flowy. It's just a flowy feeling. It feels much more expansive and less rigid. Masculine energy inside of myself feels very, and rigid probably isn't the right word, but it feels very structured and very controlled. And it feels very like directed and task oriented. And this feels very...
Wait, I'm sorry.
Look at you, babe.
That was actually...
Look at you embodying all the stereotypes.
Damn.
So I just lifted up my dress to itch my leg a little bit, and Steph just whistled at my...
I catcalled you.
You did.
Damn.
And
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But it does feel more flowy, and it feels more like, literally, I just feel more fluid. Almost like I want it. It's dance. It feels more like that's the word that keeps coming back. It's not like I like dancing, but I feel like when I dance, it's feminine. I don't feel like I dance masculine, and that's silly, right? There's not I don't think a masculine or a feminine way to dance, but
sure there is.
That's what feminine energy feels like to me. It's just more relaxed and more flowy, and I like that feel. Like, it feels good in my body to be relaxed and fluid and be able to flow and not so rigid and detailed and oriented and focused on one specific thing, right? And we've learned a lot in the last few months as well about kind of the sun and the moon and masculine energy and feminine energy. And I think I was so, like, all of my internal wiring inside of my brain, inside of my body, and inside of my heart has always been so confused and so twisted. And I think back to time as a child. Will you top me off there with that?
Yeah.
Sweet coffee. And I feel like as a child,
it's like tea.
I was way more
It'll be okay.
Creative and way more expressive and way more flowy as a child. And then at some point that really shifted.
When do you think it shifted? I
don't know. I don't really want to explore that too significantly.
Okay, got it.
But I think it definitely shifted at some point. And then I think I got all sorts of confused around almost like almost like hating my masculine energy because it was keeping me from this creative. So like this, even just this internal struggle that was happening subconsciously inside of myself, where some part of me wanted to be more creative and expressive and more flowy, and feeling like it couldn't because this other part was being too controlling and too, do you know what I mean? Forceful. And so it's like, I think at some point I even started to really hate my masculine energy. And so then it's like trying to figure out all of those different subconscious things going on inside of myself, and where Craig really lies, where Craig really is, right? Who is Craig and what is Craig and how Craig really exists. And that's really been what's happened for me this year, is being able to calibrate all of those things and just exist wherever it is. Because it's not a concrete solid thing. I feel different from day to day, from hour to hour sometimes, right? And being able to just acknowledge as well as like recognize and feel it, and then allow it and exist in it and to flow with it. And some days it's very masculine. Some days it's very feminine. Some days it's a beautiful balance between the both of them. And I've also loved lately too, recognizing when what I can accomplish in those types of energy, and how I feel like when I play the guitar, I'm balancing both really beautifully, because there's a part of like playing the guitar that is very singular, for me at least, is very singular. Like I'm very dialed in and focused, and it's detailed oriented, and I'm thinking about chord structures and finger placement and strumming patterns and beats and rhythms. And it's very like on point, left brain, masculine focused. Is the left brain the right?
Correct.
Is the left brain the masculine brain?
Yeah.
Right. And then there's also a part of it that is so flowy and so free. And it's literally like waves of music and connection. And I get to embody both of those aspects in guitar and in music. And then there's other things that are very like, we've had this realization and starting to really focus on, like if I'm task oriented, if I'm working on podcast editing or content creation or answering emails, that's a very singular, focused, on point. And if I can embody that and focus there, I get not only much more accomplished, but it helps my nervous system stay calm and calibrated. And then there's times where I have to access that creative aspect of the feminine inside of myself as well. I want to know, this isn't a judgment, of course, but I feel like you have a really hard time allowing the masculine in your space at all.
Do you mean like allowing outside masculine energy in my space, or my own masculine?
This is all just, I'm only talking right now about the internal. We haven't talked about what it looks like
I'm
externally.
Struggling. I'm kind of really irritated right now.
But not just in this moment.
Okay.
But when you think about in our everyday life.
Well, I'll talk about this moment as opposed to our everyday life, because I'm in this moment. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm super...
That was ma'am, not man.
That was not ma'am. That was not ma'am. Like I'm finding myself pissed off. because I had to embody so much masculine energy my entire life. Like, this is how, like, it's like the look like a lady, behave like a man. Mm-hmm. Like, look like a lady, carry yourself like a man, strong like a man, controlling, like all of the, like, control of the situation, handle, like all of the, like, whatever. I'm not saying that's the healthy spin of it. I'm just saying that was my experience. And I'm just like recognizing how much of my life I spent in masculine energy, how much of it, but trying to be the feminine energy that I was supposed to be, and all the shit that fucking happened to that. And so I'm like, why do I want, I did not, I appreciate my feminine energy, because I viewed like that as, oh, she's weak. She's a victim. She gets hurt. She trusts when she shouldn't. But when I'm in the, like the power and the strength, and those things aren't happening. When I'm embodying my masculine energy, like, I'm safe. Not only am I safe, but then, like, I have men rallied around in a sense, because I'm like, of course it's never that. It always turns out to be something different, but like, I have the illusion of power. I have the illusion of safety. But I'm sitting here and I feel like what it feels like, and I'm like, I feel powerful, and like all of us, like, I have this, and I'm like, oh, what the honest is, because my back's starting to really hurt, and I'm like, it's the, like, oh, I just had it, and it scrolled out of my brain. One of the protectors are like, nope, we're just gonna, like, I'm pissed off. I feel like I have to, like, protect again. I feel like I have to shut those parts of me off because they've been hurt, and I have to protect, and I don't get to be who I truly am in all of the flowy ways. And I have to, like, I get fucking pissed. Sorry. I get pissed when I have to be, like, when I feel like I have to be, oh gosh, I don't know if this is safe to say around you. Anyways, yeah, I struggle with, I don't know how deep I want to get into it right now, because it's bringing up a lot. I do struggle because I don't want, I don't know what the balance is. I don't know what the balance is, honestly. And this feels like I'm losing. It feels like I'm losing my heart. It feels like I'm losing, because I don't, again, the embodiment in a healthy way, I don't know what that looks like. I know the embodiment in an unhealthy way, or the, as you would say, the toxic way. And so, if, like, this isn't me. This isn't me. I don't feel like it. It doesn't feel good right now. I don't feel good right now. And there are aspects, what I was saying just a little while ago, like, what, 10 minutes ago? 20 maybe? It was absolutely true. Like, that was absolutely true in that moment. But then it's like it starts to weigh. I don't know. This is bringing up, like, our anniversary is not going to be, like, I'm afraid it's not going to be the sensual, lovey, connected, sexy that I wanted after this episode, because I'm like, you know what? I want to be, but I just want to take some time to myself. I want to be by myself. I want to cry. I want to yell. Like, I don't know what, it's bringing so much up in me.
Remember, we're together.
I don't feel together. I don't even feel like me.
I know.
This is hard. I don't like it.
I know.
Not that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with embodying energy other than your own. I'm saying, like, this is, if anything, what I'm having awareness of is not being able to embody who you truly are is the problem.
Yeah.
And who you truly are gets to be who you truly are. There's no level, there's no measurement, there's no spectrum, you have to be on this side of the, what's the thing called? This side of the scale, that's not it.
Spectrum.
This side of the spectrum or that side of the spectrum, or it gets like that fluid wherever you are. And if you are solid on one side, you get to be solid on one side. Like, wherever you are is where you are. And that should be who you're allowed to be without. I'm a mess. I'm emotional.
You're doing really good, babe. I think that
he's making the shit's on the left side. Doesn't go on the left side. It's fucking me up.
I know. I had my coffee mug over here on this side, if you're on my left side, but I couldn't. And then I'm like, silly, it goes on the right. And yeah, just the simple flipping of locations that we're sitting is really, really weird.
I prefer drinking with my right hand. I'm right-handed, but like I'm usually not constricted.
Same thing. I prefer, oh my God, all the cards just went down. This is like a Rain Man ADD moment where I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue. So
do you want me to go pick them up?
No.
You got them? I got this for you.
It's okay.
It's harder when you're in a dress.
I just did a reel
things might fall out
on social from one of the recent episodes where we where I dropped the cards. No, I got it.
You got it? Okay. I'll carry on the podcast. I'll sit over here and be like, I've got my squishy
See, that
heart.
wasn't bad.
I was literally visualizing for a minute, like crushing my own heart. When I was filling this, it wasn't a thing. I was just like, shut it off.
From that one episode?
No, right here.
Oh. Okay, hold on a sec. You said,
I said,
it literally feels like I'm losing my heart or my heart is closing off.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a accurate, sad and accurate description of what it feels like to be a man. And what society and what culture and what your parents and what other men are telling you that is required in order to survive and be a man. If you're going to be a man in this world, you have to close your heart off and wall it away and literally lose it in a sense.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating to me that you're feeling that just from this 30 minutes of, we've been dressed this way for maybe an hour at this point, and
I had it on before you. It's easier to get ready.
So I think that's really, really interesting. And I think about the level of like the toxic masculine energy that you have been exposed to your entire life, and then the embodiment of that toxic masculine energy in order to survive as a woman, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, where it's like you've had to embody that in some way, shape, or form. And the heart that was lost during that time period is the feminine, right? So much of, I believe, feminine energy and femininity and what it means to be a female is a lot. It's not to say men aren't compassionate and loving. Obviously we are. But go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I feel like that is, I don't see it, I see it as adults that way. But to say the heart is feminine and not masculine,
just representation.
Not
some sort of solidified.
Because it gets shut off because,
it gets hurt.
Being a parent of a boy, I've seen the shift. Mm-hmm. That little boy, the biggest heart was more expressive. The biggest heart, full of love. Still there, but now feels like he's got to hide it. He can't show it. But his natural element was all the love.
And I think
all the love.
I think that is the natural element of humans.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying. I thought you were saying the heart is, I'm sorry, I'm triggered right now. But not I just didn't understand. I thought you were communicating that the heart is only for the feminine, or only feminine, it's a feminine energy.
Not at all. I'm just talking about toxic masculinity and the way that society has misconstrued so much that's what, so I know that from experience of growing up, identifying as a man and as a boy, and eventually feeling like I couldn't express emotion, that I couldn't let anybody feel what was happening inside of my heart, right? And so I had to close that off and keep that in my mind safe.
Wow.
But really it wasn't keeping it safe. It was walling it away. Wow. I lost connection with it as well. And that's what society teaches men.
That is so
and
sad.
The fact that you as a girl learned that same lesson.
We do, but we learn it to protect ourselves, to keep, but well,
Did you just hear what I said? I said it was to protect.
Well, yeah, it is to protect, but it's to stop outside violation only. And I hear that.
That's what I did too.
But what I'm hearing you also say is it's to stop outside violation, and also in order to be a man, you have to do it. So it's not only to protect, but in order to be worthy of being a man, you must.
So is it in order to be a woman? Because in order to be a man is about survival, right? If I'm identifying as a man and I'm interacting with other men and I'm in the group and circle of men and masculinity and manhood, I don't want to be cast out of that.
Yeah.
My survival is because I'm accepted by the group.
I understand.
Right? And so that's what was required in order to stay in that space and be accepted by the group. And so I'm thinking about the feminine aspect of this for you, right?
Okay.
Your survival is exactly the same.
It was the same. And right? I sought out to be included and a part of the male group.
In order for survival.
Not the feminine.
Right.
And now I'm like...
So you have this big, massive push over the last few years of really trying to rekindle and find that feminine inside of you.
And I feel like I have.
I agree.
Like, I feel, honestly, like, I was like, I feel strong, powerful, but it was like I was talking like I feel like brute force. Like, I feel... But when I'm in my feminine energy is when I feel like I can make magic happen. It's when I feel wholly powerful. When I feel like I can make fire dance and wind blow, like all the things. And I feel like if I'm with a group of women, it doesn't matter what we're up against. If I'm with a group of women, and I'm not saying it's not that way for men, but I identify as a woman. And so embodying what I perceive my natural energy to be is where I find my strength. But maybe it's the same. Because you also turned off a lot of your masculine energy and embodied like the toxic aspects of it. And then the last few years have been working on shifting that and healing that and healthy masculinity. So what does that feel like when you are like allowing to be feminine and masculine and all the energies with people you feel safe with? Like, what is that like for you?
So when I get to just be myself on the day and whatever the day is, that feels great.
Can you elaborate?
Well, there's some things that I want to hit on yours first. Oh. Is my hairband okay still? Or did it get a little wonky?
No, it's still okay. Those things will never stay. They always slide back. So, and with the headphones there, it's a losing battle. You either leave it where it's at or you just take it off.
Okay, I'm going to take it off.
It's really cute.
I know. I thought it was too.
I got to see, like, I got to witness something really cool because sometimes you're like on the bed watching me get ready.
Yeah.
And I came in the room and you were at like my sink. Wearing,
on purpose.
Well, that's
not because that's where everything was, but I wanted to also embody your energy there.
I didn't see that. I thought you were like just accessing.
No, I started at my sink.
Yeah, and then you moved.
And then I realized, wait a minute, I really want to feel and embody. Yeah. So I needed to go over to your side.
Well, I was all in my masculine energy, but I was sitting there, and then I was laying there watching you. And it was like, I even took a couple of pictures of you trying to put on mascara. And it was like, my first thought was like, you're beautiful. Like, you just like moved into this, and I was falling in love with you. And I don't know all of the reasons. I don't know if it was just like seeing the softer side and just seeing this like brave side and seeing the way that you're authentically will step into you and you're not afraid to like dive in and out and figure all the things. I don't know. There was just so much. And then watching you, and it was so like, it was so beautiful and it was so cute because I was getting ready to tell you, I'm like,
it's not
that mascara is actually the one I use for my brows. The one with the sticker on the bottom is the one that's for you because it lasts a little better. And also you can see that, you know, I make makeup last longer than it should. So I need to refresh all of it. So it actually, but I don't. I just like make it work. I save money. And then you use like the eyebrow brush in the eyeshadow, and I don't know what you were doing with it, but I was like, oh no, it's fine. And so I was just watching you try to figure it all out, and it was, I don't know, even.
Yeah, I didn't want to put on a lot of makeup. It's not what it was about for me. But
it was just so endearing. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was. I don't know what, like, how you were so vulnerable in that moment and standing there, and I was just like, I was taken back by you. I was just like, I am so grateful that I got to witness that moment, that I came down, that I got to see that happen, because I would have never seen that. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have felt what you were feeling coming through, and it was really beautiful.
Yeah,
it was really beautiful. I got to see it. And then you finally noticed me on the bed, and it kind of scared you, huh?
I had to really, I just went into this place where I wasn't concerned about what you were doing. I didn't even know you were there. And I just really had, because I was so nervous. I still am. This is really hard for me.
You're doing so good.
So are you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you, babe.
I feel like I'm being a jerk, so thank you.
You're not being a jerk. I know how hard this is.
Okay.
I knew, I mean, there was a part of me that wanted to do this because I knew that it was going to be really beneficial for you.
I did not.
It's what I was kind of alluding to earlier, where I feel like I feel safe to embody the feminine in our relationship and in our life.
Yeah.
And I feel safe to, if I'm feeling that in the moment or on the day or with the experience, I feel comfortable to express it outwardly, so that I feel calibrated. And I don't think you do. And that's not a judgment. Yeah. I'm not sitting here picking on you. I'm not pointing at you saying you're not doing your work or any of those things. It's really the encouragement stuff too.
Sorry.
You're okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
I know. And this is important.
Let me pull my head back. Okay.
All the things that you've been expressing about how it feels to embody masculine energy and all the stuff that's coming up for you, we know it's just shadow.
Yeah.
And you know that there is healthy masculine energy.
I do. And that is not something that
Slow down, please.
I want awareness with that. Like, that is such a beautiful thing. I did not know that existed. And I didn't even know that the masculine energy that was unhealthy was unhealthy. Right. I was like, this is masculine energy.
Exactly. I didn't know that either.
Then I learned, oh, this is unhealthy. And I didn't, like, I knew they talked about, however, like, healthy masculinity, but I was like, nope.
Yeah.
And so where it's like, not only do I believe that, have I seen that, experienced that, and I know, like, how that is such a wonderful, like, that changes the whole perspective of the world, that, like, and I feel like that isn't given any credit, and not like me credit. I'm like, the healthy masculine, and the healthy masculine, like, is like twisted to thinking that healthy masculinity is when they have removed masculinity from, and it's all feminine. Like, that is so false.
Right.
So it's sorry, yeah, it's going to go off on another tangent.
Let's not get away, but instead of healthy, calibrated. So there's a way to calibrate energy to where it is safe, connected. It isn't out of alignment. It's simply calibrated and balanced. And there's a way to do that. And I thought, especially this year and all the growth that we've been doing and everything like that, in my mind, I mean, we did an episode where I think I went off and on and on and on about this idea of we just have to blend, like, the whole lessons of this dimension and then of this experience and of this life is, the binary into the single, like two things into one, because it's always this constant struggle of light, dark, masculine, feminine, good, bad, rich, poor.
But you're not restricting to one. Like, one isn't just like a single. Is from you're seeing it. What I can see, one is like encompassing all things. So, like, one is everything, or is one just simple? Or am I?
Let me finish my thought. You're doing a really good job of embodying Craig over there by all your interruption.
Yeah. Wait till I start playing the devil's advocate.
Right. rather than thinking that you have to shed something in order to balance something, right? I don't need to get rid of my feminine in order to balance my masculine. I can incorporate both of them. And it's not, the goal for me now in the recognition isn't somehow it's always about this balance and like a challenge of trying to always maintain some status quo balanced place of homeostasis where everything is equal and you're just living this super balanced, connected, calibrated life. That's not the goal, I think, at least for me. And I think for everybody, it's for me, it's becoming more and more clear that it's about moment by moment, day by day, experience by experience, really being able to be aware and mindful of where you're at. And we are always flowing throughout life because of experiences, because of what's happening, because of what we have had happen, and because of where we're at. And the goal is to be mindful enough in every moment to acknowledge where you're at, and then let the inside match the outside.
Yeah.
So that you are just simply calibrated and in harmony with not just what you're feeling internally, but also what is going on externally. So that is balance in a sense, but the idea that there are days when I am fully in masculine energy, and that day I don't need to feel like I have to embody or embrace or incorporate some sort of feminine in order to be balanced, right? Oh, today I was too masculine. I need to do a better job tomorrow of being more balanced. It's just acknowledgement of today I felt this way, and I can embrace that and be mindful of that, but also recognize that it flows and it fluctuates and it changes. And I think you, keep in mind, babe, no judgment. This isn't a criticism. This is my loving observation, my critical eye during this time period, right? It feels like you have fully embraced and embodied this feminine, your heart, and all of that beautiful energy that is so powerful and so incredible, and that has been so locked up and so stuck and all of those things, right, over the course of your life, and you've embraced it. And I think a next part of your growth is going to come from being able to allow whatever it feels and or looks like for you when it is masculine in your day-to-day life, and not resist it, and not feel that it has to be some sort of toxic, aggressive, hurtful, whatever type of energy that it is out there in the external societal viewpoints, but more about what it really feels like for you internally. So then it just flows in this beautiful harmony.
Yeah. We'll see.
And all of that. So back to that experience of working like if you're in a group of women and you're just all fully embraced into the feminine and fully accessing that energy and that power, and it's like unstoppable, right? In a really healthy way. You're right. I had that same experience with men, and it's interesting, and I like it in a sense, but it also was really like intimidating and confusing for me, and it was hard to be in. It didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very rarely did I feel comfortable in all of that kind of men's work and group work that I did with men. I think a lot of me was still closed off and protected and masking a lot in order to be in those spaces because I did not feel safe. I don't feel safe around men either.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there to where I can and where I do feel more safe around men and more safe around women and just safe in general, right?
Safe in general. Yeah. I'm thinking like I used to never feel safe around women. I was afraid of men. But they do a really good job of like pitting women against each other.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have women friends. I didn't allow that in the space. But there was also, you know, aspects of like shedding that away too, afraid of form bonds with women because of my repressed sexuality. And so like it was both. It was feeling like I couldn't trust women and feeling like before full awareness, like trying to keep feelings away, and then also afraid that it would just be misconstrued as my friendship. It was just about like feelings and attraction. And so I still get caught up on that one, where I still like keep like walls to a point and working on bringing those down. Like that's so crazy. So crazy. I guess that's another topic. Another thing go ahead. Just like had awareness of, we talked before of like the lack mentality of like you feel like you have to lose something to gain, or I don't even know. My point that I've lost my train of thought was, but I'll just give you like the point that I saw in unhealthy or uncalibrated ways that could be a simple shift is, in my opinion, my experiences and what I've witnessed, it feels like masculine energy is the removal of feminine energy. And feminine energy is requiring the removal of masculine energy.
Yeah, and we see that in culture today, right?
And these are, I'm not, like, obviously this isn't as a whole. We're talking about the conflicts, the where we're butting up against, the energies we're butting up against, when it becomes like us and them, like a separation, as opposed to like the calibration. We need to stop trying to remove one from the other and the energies from each other. It's like men are safe if we remove the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Women are safe as long as they remove the feminine. So it's just this kind of like weird dynamic. And then women, I don't know, like it's so convoluted, and there's so much that I don't understand. So when we're looking at it, like there's so many different perspectives. It's like in the healthy, or not in the healthy, in the I just had it. Like this is just like one group we're talking. Are you raising your hand?
Just stretching.
Oh,
Excuse me. I've got a question.
This is going like, there's so many different ways that this implies. I feel like most of this conversation has sounded hetero.
Right.
And that there's a whole other aspect that, for one, I experienced, but that is experienced. I'm like, just even with that, with me, I still feel like I'm speaking through all this just from a hetero standpoint.
Yeah.
And like, that's only like the smallest.
Exactly.
The smallest percentage. So this is a huge, huge, important conversation and topic that I think we need to get more curious with and keep building. I don't know. I'm probably gonna I'm just gonna show up as I am without trying to embody anything or not. I don't know.
This was just for the 300th episode, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows what episode 301 or 400 or 500 or 600 is going to look like. But
maybe this like really opened the door to like normalizing it, because that was like the goal was, I thought mine at first was just like a normalizing. You get to be like, it doesn't matter if you're cis hetero, if you're like whatever. Like I'm just using that as the example, because that is the one that feels like it is the most resistant and like butting up against.
What do you mean? The hetero thing?
This yeah, like in that sense, like cis hetero are, from what I'm seeing, are more afraid of the fluidity and thinking that if they have fluidity or if they witness fluidity, that it is a threat.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, no, it isn't. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm having a really hard time.
Because this is a really hard conversation, babe.
And it is a really hard conversation.
All the different things that we're talking about.
But I'm trying to come at it in a way that is acknowledging, that is truthful, and without alienating. Because if we're just sitting here and I don't want anybody, any group, any identity, anything to feel attacked, because then like there's no unity there. If it's only unity when we're singling somebody out, then there's no unity. So we have to figure out how to, yes, make changes, but without making everybody wrong. And also, I really think there's things that are wrong. So I'm butting up against my own biasms.
I think we can only, it's the kind of thing where we can only imagine and create and project, and like we only have the data that we have.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
We only have the capacity to think outside of the box that we're in with the data that we have. So I can't begin to imagine or create an imagination or create a new thought or a new way of looking at something if I literally don't have the data for it.
Yeah.
If nobody has ever given me that input and downloaded that information into my brain, and I haven't, received it in some way or gone out and gotten it and looked at it and studied it and analyzed it, or if I wasn't taught, if I don't have the data, I can't see it. And so when you think about this dynamic of the hetero thing and how our society and culture is always looking at every situation, every experience, every dynamic, literally everything through that lens, right? It's always coming from this heteronormative, cisgendered lens that we're looking through, and then we're seeing everything through that lens first and foremost.
Okay.
Because that's the data that we were all given initially.
Okay.
So even people that fall outside of that scope, and fall outside meaning, no, it's not, right? Even people, the way that I kind of have started to visualize it is not just a spectrum. Spectrum is linear in my mindset, right? It's a line and we fall on one end or the other, but it's a circle. Humans exist on this circle spectrum. And on one tiny little pinpoint on that entire circle is the heterosexual, normative, cisgendered person that identifies either as a female or as a male. That's a tiny little section on this massively beautiful, multicolored, energetic spectrum circle of what it means to be a human.
Okay.
But because everything that we're taught, everything that is written down, all data for the past thousands of years has come through that one filter, that's where we're all starting from. And what's taken place over the last, we'll say 100 years maybe, right, is the recognition of we need to start looking outside of that filter. But if you don't have experience looking outside of that, if you don't have somebody helping you, if you don't have the literal data, then I can't create the thought if I don't have the data. I can't imagine if I don't have the data. So I remember being very young, and like when I was 10 years old, this conversation that we're having, I couldn't even fathom.
Right.
I couldn't even understand. We see that a lot with Asher right now at 15. He doesn't have the data to even begin to understand what we're trying to explain to him sometimes. And
vice versa. Sometimes we don't have the data what he's trying to explain.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like think about how into cars he is. And he starts talking about cars and he's like telling us everything about cars and don't you know this and don't you know that and da-da-da-da-da. I don't have that data.
Yeah, I don't have that data either.
So I can't even begin to understand what he's talking about.
But I'm taking him with me and go car shopping.
Right? So it's the same thing in regards to all these other topics and all these other things. And what you and I have done over the course of our life, especially in the last, literally, I think since we got married, right? Today's our anniversary. It's our 7th year anniversary. And from that date, henceforth, you and I have started to seek out more data. And we've started to look at things differently. We've started to look at ourselves differently, and why we think the way we think, and why we feel the way we feel, and why we act the way we act. And in order to do that, you have to start looking outside of the original filter that you've been looking at your whole life. And so, yes, it's in regards to like sexuality. Yes, it's in regards to gender. Yes, it's in regards to this masculine, feminine energy conversation that we're having. But it's so much bigger. It's such a bigger scope. Like the whole statement of being able to, walk in somebody else's shoes, that is something that I think, like for me personally, I've heard that phrase over the course of my life, and I didn't really understand what it meant. Yes, I understood it from this contextual understanding of, you can sip some more of mine if you want.
That's okay, I've had enough.
You don't, it's like important to think about what that other person is feeling, right? You never know, and kind of experiencing their life through their shoes, walk a day in the life of the other person, right? So I understood it from this intellectual aspect, like it was data that was given to me. But I never really understood what it meant to embody that and to feel that. And a big chunk of my journey over the last few years that's made a huge difference and change for me is recognizing and realizing the level of mental issues that I've had.
Okay.
And anxiety and depression and PTSD and all of these other things that I understood contextually and intellectually, but I didn't really understand what it felt like until I acknowledged that I could feel these things, until I acknowledged that I was having, suddenly I know what a panic attack feels like.
Yeah.
Not because somebody told me about it, or I watched a movie about it, or I read a book about a panic disorder or a panic attack.
Experience.
It's because I fucking experienced it. And then suddenly compassion just expanded massively. Suddenly my awareness of like, I never realized that this is what it was like.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. It takes the ability to be able to look outside of the filter that you have and acknowledge that you have been looking at things through a filter. But if you don't ever have that awareness, or if you don't ever literally, like I said earlier, just have the data. So I don't think we can get frustrated at the people that are still looking at things through this one singular focused filter, because it's just an information thing. And we think, well, how can you not know at this point, right?
I've said that. I've said those words.
Right?
How can you not know at this point?
How can you not know at this point? If you don't know, then you're ignorant.
I've literally,
right?
I've literally said those things. I have a new awareness now that I'm going to share, because you're bringing up like a beautiful thing. But I've literally said those exact words. I feel like you're quoting me right now. I have to own that, but I've literally said those exact words recently.
Yeah. And then again, it has to go back to walk in that person's shoes. We assume that by this point in technology, culture, history, media, everything, that if you aren't aware of some of these cultural issues that everybody's facing, if
then you just don't care, you're choosing
not to, and you don't care.
Yep.
But the reality is, we have to really embody what that person may be experiencing, and we have to be able to expand our mind to open up to the data that we don't have. I have no idea what that person's actual experience is like. Right? I mean, it's simple to think that everybody's on social media, so how can you not see? Well, we know that social media shows you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, why would somebody go out and seek information
that they don't can't even fathom what to look for?
Can't even fathom, because they don't have the data to create
equations out that they've never even.
Exactly. So I think that's the very first part of compassion, is really being able to recognize, like you were talking earlier, like the feminist movement over the years has been. Go ahead.
No, keep going. I thought you were going to break into it, but you're not.
Yeah, it has been, a certain thing where it seems like, I'm not saying all feminists or all quote unquote feminist movement, but you see it on both ends of the spectrum with masculine and feminine, where masculine men have to embody their masculinity in opposition to the feminine. It's our responsibility, and we're going to be these powerful
alphas,
lions that are, moving through, and if you you have to be the leader of your family, and all this kind of really strong, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Well,
but the question is, are you also acknowledging that there's days when you're feminine, or where you have some flowing, energetic movement on this beautiful spectrum, right? That's a circle, that it's not linear. And so allowing the opportunity. Like my practice is always curiosity still. And I shouldn't say always like suddenly I'm super enlightened. It's the practice of reminding myself I need to get curious. I need to get curious. I need to get curious.
There's a permission slip on our vision board for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sign the universe.
And because they just don't have the data. And we know from personal experiences as well, right? Sometimes you can put the data right in front of somebody and you can literally say the exact thing to them.
And they're not seeing it.
And they're not seeing it and they're not hearing it.
They're not feeling it.
And we know oftentimes when that happens, that's because of trauma. So again, we have to be compassionate.
Yeah. And
it goes back to, how can you not know this thing at this point in time in history? Well, let's account for their entire life experience. Right?
And that's not an excuse. That's not saying excusing people's
none of this is an excuse.
We're
it's
not
just
saying like,
compassion.
oh, you don't have to look because of trauma. It's saying like, give them time.
Yeah.
Like trauma, like give them time. Give people time. It's such a good thing. Like this is something, a shift that I have had because I very much felt you have to choose to look away. And it was so much, and there's such a movement on educate yourself, which I agree with. Educate yourself. But what you're speaking to is like, if the data isn't there, like it's not available to you, you need help. And people are using that as not only they're using it, I feel, abusively and as a like showboat way. And it's like, oh, I have this, like educate yourself. Like there's support groups. These are support groups. And I'm in one, I'll just, for an example, it's a queer support group. And they were talking about how hurtful the term female is. And it's come up a lot. Women in the group have used the term female. And they're saying like male, female is hurtful. Those are not terms to use. So you have people that are asking why, that have been like, they don't see a problem with it. Now, these are all women in the group or identifying as women. And I was just seeing this thread where they were bringing it up again, like you cannot use this word. But then people were asking why in the thread, and it was educate yourself. Like they're trying to in a support group.
Right.
Like you're not allowed to ask questions, just educate yourself. There is a point, yes, it's not everybody's job. But if you have that information and you're supporting and somebody's like, okay, help me understand, you're going to say, go educate yourself. This is your responsibility. And there was like comments of like, I'm trying, I can't find, they were referencing a post, but I can't find it. And I'm trying to ask other people's opinions. And there were so many mean comments in the support group,
right,
where they're asking, trying to get an understanding. And it was like, aha, I have this information. It's even, if you don't agree with it, just leave. They're not saying they don't agree. They're saying they don't understand. Here's an opportunity. Why do we have to hold this information and act like we're so much better and so much more evolved because we have this information? Share it. If you have it, share it.
Yeah.
And that changed. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I heard that rhetoric of, if at this point you don't know, you're choosing to not look. I didn't know. Was I choosing to not? I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And then I had to get curious. I'm like, why can't you say female? I had to learn. And so now it's not, I don't get to like, oh, go educate yourself. No, like I'm still learning. Like if you have that, share that information. So again, that was so beautiful. If you don't have that data available, you can't be, educate people, help, let's share it. Let's give love instead of punishing for not having the information. Also, we can't be like, we have this information, you have to eat this information.
Yeah. And the person or persons that have the stance of
I did that talk thing, sorry.
Go educate yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to take the time. That also stems from a lack of data.
Okay.
Because that person and that individual emotionally doesn't have the capacity and the data to recognize this concept that we're talking about. And it's not, this concept is the verbiage that we're using, and it's our stories in a sense, and it's kind of what's resonating with us right now. But even the person that is judgmental, or the person that is like, I'm not going to take the time, or, you should know better at this point, and it's your responsibility to go educate yourself. That is still coming through a filter.
With that much information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that person also has not enough data to see outside of that filter, outside of that box,
Exactly.
to meet that person with compassion and recognize, right? Because they don't have some other input or some other data. That has been their lived experience, and that's been the original download that they received.
That's the information that they got when they had a question.
Exactly.
Oh, I know what to do now. I've taken it upon myself.
Right?
Yeah. There's so many aspects of that. So many. It's like, I love the phrase. I'm like, I used this the other day. I'm like, I love this phrase. This one that I used. It's by me here. However, like, I don't know. Let's get curious together. Let's find out. And just that digging in. I get nervous of sounding like a hypocrite because I have these stances, and then I'm like, oh, it's different. And so I'm like, I do have that like worry. I'm like, I said this, but now I'm saying this. And that is programming. Right. That is old programming that, oh, you're just changing your mind. You said this, now you're saying this. Clearly, it's like, yeah, you're right. I said this.
How often do we see that in politics, right?
Exactly. I said this. I did. I said this. And then I learned, and then I was able to shift and adjust, and that know better, do better. And so I didn't have to double down on an opinion that I no longer feel is aligned with me. I have changed it. So like I keep changing. We grow out loud on the podcast. You get to see the evolution. Yes, if we said this and we say this now, we're growing. We're willing to be wrong and then say it. Yeah. Like we're wrong. This is what I felt here. I did feel this here, and now I see. Now I have more information, and now I see it this way. And it might change again. It probably will.
It will change again. That's the acknowledgement, right? What you think today, you won't think tomorrow. Right. This thing that you're 100% certain on, this is factual, this is my belief. Yep. 10 years from now will be completely different.
10 years, 10 seconds. You never know. There's the Easter Bunny. Holy shit.
I know. Right? Suddenly the veil is lifted over the globe, and we recognize other dimensions are around us at all times. And suddenly everybody's like, well, turns out we were wrong.
Yeah. We did have the Jupiter Neptune conjunction on Pisces a week or so ago. So
I think that the ability to acknowledge that not only your own personal thoughts and experiences evolve and change over the course of your life, but also acknowledge that other people's are as well, and to have compassion and understanding and acceptance of that, I think that is like the threshold between childhood and adulthood.
Yeah.
In one way.
In one way. Like there's still a lot of growth I have.
But I think there's a lot of kind of markers for when you go from thinking of things a certain way and now you see things differently. And that recognition of just really the acknowledgement of what is today in my mind and my thoughts and my belief and how I'm living my life is going to change. And that's really mature, and that's really like evolved and responsible, and it's like a higher self-awareness. And the child that struggles with change, that resists change, that avoids change, that can't even contextually understand of, what do you mean this happened yesterday, that's not happening today? That to me, and it's not minimizing it, I think it's just a distinction between, that's one difference between mature and a child, like an adult and a child. And so much.
Which is also another trauma thing. Like change is very scary and shocking and like painful. So like, I'm okay. You need to calm your nervous system. So there's so many, what would you say, multifaceted?
Yeah. Like we've talked a lot about how, we can see everybody as a child. And that's not just in this compassionate, loving, curious way. It's kind of in a realistic way that everybody is somewhere between the age of 0 and we'll say maybe 15, 16, 17 years old at the most, right? Because emotionally, intellectually, all these kind of different things, everybody gets stunted at some spot in their life. And oftentimes it's during childhood. Mm-hmm. And then it's so hard to get out of that. Yeah. And once we recognize, that's why I think we see a lot of that division in politics where they were for gay marriage here and now they're against it, or vice versa, or, all these things that people change over time. We're still judging it like a child would judge change. Well, you told me that, how often does Asher bring that up for us where it's like, what are you talking, like, this was okay today or yesterday, but it's not okay today.
Yeah. And just like seeing how that, like, he's not being, it's not a child, like that feels like it's messing with his safety from the trauma that he's has. He's like, whoa, I need to know what to expect. I need to know, like, where am I okay?
Exactly.
What am I, like, what are, yeah.
And that whole, like, we follow this account on Instagram that talks a lot about neurodevelopment and neurodivergency and just recognition of its focused is, I should pull it up and give them a shout out, but the focus is on children. So it's helping parents understand their children better. Yeah, I shared a story recently. I
saw that, yeah.
And every time I see something from hers, I'm going to pull it up because it's a good account. Yeah, do
it. It was really good. And it's like, I think, like, having that information out there and how parents can support, I would have loved to have had that information so I could have been supportive with our kids. Yeah. I didn't know they were neurodivergent. I didn't know I was. Yeah. I didn't know you were. I didn't even know what that was.
So this account,
Stevie found it. Yeah. How, like, getting this information out there so we can support, just have some sort of information.
It is... I want to give the correct, I've got the account pulled up, but I want to give the correct URL or it's neurocompatible. Oh my goodness. She's a neuroscientist. Neurocompatible_parenting. Okay. So this one specifically that I'm referencing, once again, it's like the prefrontal cortex in our brain, which is responsible for reasoning, logical thinking, planning,
speaking,
impulse control,
being able to connect your thoughts.
Right. That area of our brain, it does a multitude of things, doesn't even begin to start developing until age 3 or 4. So think
if you
about
had trauma before 3 or 4,
right?
Is that weird?
Not only if you had trauma before 3 or 4, but if you had any sort of traumatic experience in your childhood during this phase, how much that's going to affect your prefrontal cortex. And that area of our brain isn't even fully mature until the age of 25.
I knew the 25, but I didn't know the 3 or 4 part, because that's why I keep trying to, like, convince, like, wait, you don't want to drink right now, you don't want to use any kind of substances right now, your frontal
it's not
still developing,
but that awareness of it's not even fully developed until age 25.
So you basically got trauma from 1 to 25 that you can't even organize your thoughts.
Exactly.
It's not like you can see now. You see, when I get really stressed, I can't even talk.
Yeah. So just those 3 things that she outlined, and I know that there's more that it's responsible for.
That's big. That's really big. Just that awareness and
reasoning. So the ability to, like, logically reason, logically think.
It goes
planning,
offline.
Right? The ability to plan, impulse control. So this is responsible for what I'm interpreting all of this is basically like becoming the difference between an animal and a human, right?
Yeah.
It's literally like our
that.
lizard animalistic kind of monkey brain evolves in this prefrontal cortex to actually be a reasonable human. She also meltdowns, big emotions, tantrums happen when the amygdala gets activated. The amygdala is a very primitive brain area and is there to alert us that something is off. There might be some danger coming our way. Yeah, it's a beautiful post. She outlines a lot of this, and it's a really good account. She's constantly posting stuff in order to, like you said, it's helping parents understand their children in the event that they're neurodivergent or on the autism spectrum or anything like that.
Maybe find out.
And then literally just an understanding of the human.
Right? You don't have to be the parent of, or like,
exactly.
You're in contact with somebody.
And it's beneficial. I've found it massively beneficial in understanding myself.
Yeah.
And recognizing and realizing. And it's like how much trauma I experienced throughout my childhood. Holy shit. Crisscrossed, mismatched, completely filled the brain up to where
all of it.
It makes perfect sense why I've had such a challenge my entire life. And now I'm at this area where we're healing all of those things.
Right.
We're healing all the neural pathways. We're having all of these experiences, therapy, spiritual experiences, growth, the expansion to go from this tiny little filter that was solely based on survival. What are we at on time?
It's time. We should wrap it up.
What time is it?
It's we've got about 1:28. We're an hour 28.
Are you feeling like keep rolling? Because I was thinking we could just turn this into a big 2-part episode.
You want to do that?
If you're feeling good, or if you're feeling like you got to go pee, or you need a break.
You gave me a job to watch the time. And so I've been like mentally prepared to end it and trying to find. So like I'm ending, I got to pee. I guess I could just get up and go pee. I can try.
Let's just keep rolling if you're good.
This is affecting what I feel safe. Like you just changed the plans. It's okay. We'll keep going.
We'll take a quick break. And
this is the perfect time to break, right?
Exactly.
Because then we can stop it. And when we come back,
exactly. And we'll come back and continue with episode 300 of the Energy is Love podcast.
If it's a 2-part, yeah. Okay.
Sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay.